So rock machinery, they're in Scotland, Lesmahago, East Lothian. This is their 8-ton Venom Swift. Came fully assembled, other than the outfeed table. So yeah, just on a pallet, basically as is. And it's probably one of the only Kinetic splitters I've seen that's got a guard. Not too fussed about that, just interested in how that's going to pan out in use. There is another guard that goes around over the top here. Here's a part of it here. As you can see, that will go over there as well, all the way round. I'm leaving that off for the moment, and that all came flat pack, as is with this outfeed table. Now when it arrived on the pallet, that wheel there was bent over 90 degrees. The actual tread itself was a bit iffy. Also in the packaging, this plastic handle was missing. So a quick email, and almost by return of post, I had a replacement wheel. So absolutely no complaints whatsoever about customer service. Ordered it online. It was delivered within the time scale as they specified, and let's say those two little niggles they sorted out immediately. I can understand why they've put a guard on this with its intended use, you know, back gardens and things like that. You can imagine families or people that aren't really experienced or have a lot of time on something like this, you know, keeping little fingers away, and also gnarly little logs that you might have that don't fit on the knife correctly, flying off. You know, if you've got family around stacking logs at the same time, I can appreciate that. But this secondary one that I'm not going to put on initially, I do feel that it might actually get in the way of manipulating any logs that might get stuck or don't split correctly. So anyway, we'll see. From the floor up, it's about 23 inches. That's just a little under 600 mil. And I quite like the fact that it's sort of a working height. A lot of small ones like this you see are directly on the floor. So the usual two-handed operation. You pull this lever back, which allows this other lever to be pulled back as well. So you need two hands really. Pull that one back, and that goes there, and that engages the plunger. I guess that's what you call that. One thing I have noticed is that the plunger itself doesn't come very close to the knife. Now, whether or not that's just how these types of things work, but if I try and pull this out one-handed, so this just comes out, that's its full extent. That's a good 5 inches or so, I should think. So, be interested to see in time and in use whether I get a lot of logs just stuck there, not fully split. So this particular model, it's a 240 volt supply, and it's a 1000 watt motor. On two wheels, as you saw, with the single leg. Of course, with this plastic handle down here, you can just pick it up quite easily, just move the thing about. Obviously with the motor down this end, there's obviously a belt in here that runs up the two sort of large discs that are in there to give it its actual kinetic power. Yeah, well, for a new machine, we've got rusty galvanised bolts holding the motor on. Yeah, I suppose that's probably par for the course these days, isn't it? As you can see there, that's the adjuster nut, because the whole engine, if you like, can slide back to tension the belt in there in time. But yeah, little things like that on a new machine, yeah. Would you accept that? Oh, I don't know. Whether it lasts, whether all the gubbins in here, the cog and the rack that's on the bottom of there is of a quality that will last, who knows? Like all these things, it's how you use it, isn't it? And the use it gets. So one thing a machine like this allows is that anyone can use it and anyone can cut the logs, so that's a massive difference. So yeah, only criticism is that I don't think the plunger comes close enough to the wedge. You can see that small little log is jammed in there. So yeah, you've got to double it up with another one, and then that then runs a risk of missing. See, that one there is basically half done. So yeah, maybe I might just modify that myself, but obviously that's a sort of punky one. See how we get on with these big ones now. Right, just emptied that last trailer, so 2 trailer loads this afternoon. First use of this rock machinery 8-ton Kinetic log splitter. Well, as I'd sort of half reviewed earlier, the old guard didn't really work out for me, to be honest. The Kinetic part, the arm if you like, isn't that fast to give you any sort of real kinetic energy for the logs to shoot off. What's happened here is mainly the wiry grain, if you like. The logs split, and they might split lopsidedly, if you like, and they just want to come off the side. And as you can see, you know, we've got a big bend in here. It's broken this wire mesh, and currently we've got a sort of a ding here which is forcing this side of the outfeed table down. So I need to sort of bend that back, but more sort of worrying really is the this little lug that's been just sort of spot welded on here has sheared off, as you can see, and that was caused by a log being pushed up and pushing off here. So, you know, yes, it's a rated 8 tons, isn't it? But I mean, come on, it's only 2 little spot welds, and yeah, so that's half knackered already. And we had 2 sessions of about 25 minutes each to fill that trailer, just the 2 of us using it. So I think what I'll probably do in future is, like virtually every other video I've seen on YouTube of people using these types of splitters, is I'm going to take this off and just be very aware of how you place the log between the, let's call it the plunger, and the wedge, and just be mindful of how that all is going to go, really. So yeah, that's a little bit disappointing that that's actually sheared off there, and that's pretty poor, I would say myself, but hey, I suppose, yeah. But in terms of actually the motor and everything, it seems like it could go on all day. So yeah, more than pleased with that. And some of these really gnarly bits and bobs like this, it really, even if it didn't do it first time, 2 or 3 goes and it split everything. Having, you know, used a heavy splitting maul in the past,
this is a godsend. It's a nice height for working, as you can see there. In the end, the power cable wasn't an issue. We managed to have, you know, sort of put it around so we're not actually tripping over it. That was fine. The tolerance of this here, of this slider here, build up of sort of dust and resin and bits of bark and everything. This now doesn't really want to slide too well, and a couple of times that actually sort of wouldn't go back. We found that just keeping a spray can grease to hand helped that. The machine soon tells you that it needs a little bit of a tickle, but yeah, that's what happened there. But yeah, the outfeed table is obviously strong enough. That hasn't bent or buckled at all so far. Only being used twice, like an initial use. I would say overall it's as I expected. I wanted a Kinetic blitter. It's nice and fast. Two of us there was happily just working away. 20 minutes, fill a trailer load, and that's good enough for us. If you've got nice straight grained logs, it's going to chew through those all day quite happily. So no qualms there. We'll see how it stacks up in time, because we've got plenty of other logs to process here. Some of these are branches, some of these are rounds again, some gnarly stuff and all the rest of it. Some big heavy stuff down there, so, well, for us at least, so we'll see. But it's way easier than using the splitting maul, that's for sure. Not only from the physicalness of having to swing the maul at ground level and everything flying everywhere, but also the odd log that you think, oh, is that borderline size for us? You can just put through the splitter again, and within seconds it's done. So yeah, this type of machine, definitely get one. Whether you want to buy into this brand and this particular model, that's up to you, but I'm not regretting the purchase at all. You know, it's it will last the course, we'll see. But certainly the motor seemed to be powerful enough. The hard mechanics of it, when you engage everything, seemed to be fine. So yeah, the funny little wibbly wobbly wheels have held up. They haven't buckled or anything like that, or been pushed off the tyres. If you remember, as it was delivered, it was almost came off the rim, just with the sort of jiggling around of delivery. But just in use there, it's fine. Motor hasn't burnt out. It hardly got warm, but it's only about 8 degrees centigrade with this wind. One thing I have done to these levers, I put some thread lock on them, so we found just in use that they kept on coming undone. So even though they've got a spring washer, so yeah, thread lock on those, and they've lasted the course. That's been great. So before we use it again, need to re-weld that lug. I'm going to take this part of the guard off and clean up and grease the slider, and we should be good to go.
I welded that back on. Check this one, I put a little dabber weld there, but actually this one had been welded all the way around underneath, whereas this one had just had a spot weld. So yeah, the quality control there, not so good. And yeah, much easier to use without the guard. But however, the I suppose the build quality and the sort of materials letting itself down a bit, namely with these two orange plates. If you look with the outfeed table, let's call it that, those orange parts should actually be parallel. This part here should be parallel with this, so in other words that's got to come up like that on both sides. And actually what's happened is that just the weight of the logs on here, you can probably see it moving the light, you can see how flexible it is.
And if I come down here, perhaps you can see it there, you can see where it's joined. There's a bend now in the plate on both sides, and where they're connected in there as well, because it's only connected at each end, because obviously the plunger has got to slide along and you can't have any fixings. But what's happening is now that these are bent, they now bind on the plunger, and you see that's not going back. So if I lift this one slightly, it now goes back. You can see it binding in there. You can see that. Okay, so yes, maybe if I tighten that bolt up a little bit more again, it will stop that rocking, but it hasn't stopped it from bending, which is a fundamental flaw really, because two things: not only is that stopping it from returning, but there's too much friction really, and there's obviously it reduces the power of it, doesn't it? So yeah, cheap and nasty, isn't it, really, as a plate. So as a remedy, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the leg there, and I'm going to weld a strut, two struts each side actually, from down here somewhere to come up to the underside of here when I've rectified this, and maybe another one further back. Cheap and cheerful, isn't it, really? It was the most economical priced, and looked good on the internet. And to be honest, you know, the motor, when it runs, it's nice and quiet, and touch wood, no problems with the actual mechanism itself, and it's certainly powerful enough for the logs that I use. It's just some of the other parts of it is letting it down really. As you can see there, I've welded on a little steel legs front and back on both sides. Just a bit of primer on there for now, that will get painted in time, but yeah, just a little small bit of I think that's 10mm square bar around there, front and back, and that is now absolutely solid, which is what we wanted in the first place. So let's fix those orange pieces, the bed as it were. One little last point is obviously the plunger. When it goes back, it goes, you can just slightly hear it, it goes back to a stop. Actually, I think there should be a bung or rubber bung at the back here. This this bolt is in there like that, and I think that's obviously got that washer welded on there. I think there might have been maybe a rubber head on there or something like that, and that is well and truly disappeared wherever it's gone. I think that's the case there, so I'm going to see if I can get a replacement part. That's another piece that has worn out with just a couple of uses, so that definitely needs to be replaced really. So there's the bolt that should have the rubber on it, and here's the replacement from Rock, and I have to say their customer service has been excellent. I emailed them literally the day before Christmas and got an acknowledgement, and here we are a couple of days after New Year, and considering the postal strikes we've had in the UK, I think that's brilliant service. So got the new buffer there, it's just a case of bolting it on now, and then we should be absolutely ready to go. There you go, so beautiful, that works as it should, and of course it's not hitting the lugs. What's that noise? Oh, it's the spring. And of course it's not hitting the lugs back in there now, so all good. Great. So that just about covers it then on the review of this Rock Machinery Kinetic log splitter. Yep, so you've seen the video, you've seen my sort of practical issues I've had and how I've got around them. You can make your own mind up on that. Having said that, just purely because of the customer service I've had, I would consider Rock Machinery again if I was shopping for other bits and pieces, you know, to do with you know, log splitting and log processing and all the other bits and bobs that they do on their website. So check them out. Customer service has been excellent, albeit the product has had some issues, but we got around them in a practical way and it's working fine. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed it. Like, and if you feel like subscribing to all the other bits and bobs of videos I've got on the channel, please do.
There, I can't stop you now.
Great little machine.
Poor old thing. Roll now.
Huh?
Yeah, keep going. I'll go for a cup of tea.